Welcome to Born on the Bayou Sports, a Houston sports show made for Houstonians by Houstonians. Join Tim Costello and Scott Barzilla every week as they break down the latest in Houston Astros, Rockets, and Texans news. Tim's a former minor league broadcaster, and Scott has written 2 books on the Baseball Hall of Fame. Yeah, if Javier could get it figured out, it would make things a lot easier because he was that guy everybody was counting on this year to be a Cy Young candidate, take that big step forward and help anchor this rotation with Fromber.
Since he's come to Houston, you can look at the development of guys like Carlos Correa defensively, Jeremy Pena defensively. I mean, you can Alex Bregman's, certainly I think a better than average third baseman.
And now you're putting teams in 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9. Now here comes Will Anderson. Pin back your ears, let's go. So if you're Bayou born and bred, or just like spending time in the H, sit down, relax, and stay Houston strong. Welcome all my friends to the podcast that once again is looking at live baseball tonight, Scott. I'm sitting outside watching a game. It's a regular season game. We'll talk more about my thoughts on the fact that there's a random night game, but for tonight, I will say, feels good to be back.
I was going to share those thoughts. In fact, you may have stolen a segment from me, but that's okay.
You can throw me on the list. Because looking back through our text, you did tell me what you were going.
That's okay. But hey, and what better network to watch it on? Because after the game's over, you can just flip it on a random movie that you haven't seen in 5 years. I mean,
I will say, this has not been a bad broadcast. Like, they've got a good play-by-play guy, although he's used the word spray way too much. There's a difference between like spraying one in there and like every ball that was hit, like sprayed to the left, sprayed into right. Like, come on, like give me a little variety. But other than that, I do like Hunter Pence as a color guy, and I thought CC Sabathia is doing a nice job. Barry Bonds on the pregame show I thought was pretty good. I mean, overall, like this is better than some other attempts, right? Like I think this is better than Apple TV.
Oh, certainly. Although Hunter was on Apple TV too.
Hunter was never the problem on Apple TV though. It was Mendoza who was the other color person in there, and like she just wasn't good. Like it just felt forced. Everything felt forced, and part of it is I've grown to accept a 3-person booth. I think at times it's a bit much, but some of these primetime games where you've got a hitter and a pitcher, I guess I understand that.
I will never forgive Apple TV, and I get it, these things happen, but do we show the interview with Jeremy Pena's parents, or do we show his first major league home run? Which one do we show? Let's go.
It's obvious. It's obviously the parents.
They show the parents, yeah. Oh, and he hit a home run. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah, I don't need to see the thing. I need to see how his mom reacted. Normally, Scott, they show you the home run live and the parents' reaction as afterwards while they're all high-fiving. They thought, let's switch it up. We'll show you the parents' live reaction, and then we can watch a replay of the homer.
Okay, Tim. I know you've got a question of the day. I also had a question of the day, real quick. I know you saw that Christian Vasquez has made the opening day roster, had his contract officially purchased. He will be wearing number 2, which, as you know, is Alex Bregman's number. So the opening question of the day is, should that jersey number had been held back?
Absolutely not. I think, what Bregman did in Houston is fantastic. He helped bring 2 titles to town, had some great seasons, might even one day be elected into the Astros Hall of Fame. But the fact that you left, to me, means that the number doesn't get retired. I think, when you look at Biggio and Bagwell, those guys are kind of the standard for, at least in the modern era, of what it takes to have your number retired by the Houston Astros. And so Nolan was a guy. Yeah, he left, but it was fucking Nolan Ryan. How are you not going to claim that? And at the end of the day, outside of that, like those guys were lifelong Astros.
I'm trying to remember. Did they retire Mike Scott's number?
Mike Scott's up there.
So he wasn't an Astro the whole time.
That's that modern era. I'd say Biggio on. Biggio, Bagwell, those guys are up there, and that's pretty much it. Then they also have the Astros Hall of Fame. Do I think Bregman's Astros Hall of Famer? Probably. I think for what he's done and his place in the run, yeah. But you can't retire everybody's jersey from a 2017 and a 2022 team, right? Like Bregman chose to leave and move on, and so hey, someone else is going to get that number. Altuve and Correa are still here. Their numbers will probably go in the rafters.
So here's one hard one for you, because I know this guy's high up on your and my list. Do you retire JV's number?
No, but Astros Hall of Fame.
Because, I mean, unlike Bregman, he'd had, 2 Cy Youngs and was a part of both, championship teams.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think that's why he's Astros Hall of Fame. But if my argument is you kind of got to be Astros lifer to have your number retired, I got to stick to that, even though I love Justin Verlander, and I would hope that the Astros go in as one of the teams mentioned heavily in his Hall of Fame plaque. I get he'll probably maybe do a blank cap, or I guess Tigers without his back. But, he left the Astros twice, right? Like he went to go to the Mets, and then he left us to go to the Giants. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I love JV. I love what he did here. I hope he has a great year in Detroit, but I can't retire your number.
All right, Tim, you had a question as well.
I did. Scott, I don't know how much of the NCAA tournament you watch. I don't know how much college basketball you watch, but I do know you watch a lot of Rockets basketball. I watch Rockets. I watch a lot of UH. I guess some Texas Tech too, because of my wife. And I am going to propose a conspiracy theory or possible, whatever you want to call this. The rim in the NCAA tournament is might different than any other basketball game that's on television ever. And I don't know why, Scott. I want you to, this is the question of the world. This is one of the open questions. Why are we miking this one event's rim different? Like everything, it's clankier. It is much more clankier than any other event. NBA events, they focus more on the swish than on the miss. And just specifically in the NCAA tournament, that rim is rattling around more. It's clanky. It's weird.
So I'm going to go with, actually, I have 2 theories. I have a real theory, and then I have the kind of, half-hearted theory. Half-hearted theory is I think it's an homage to John Starks and Patrick Ewing. We used to call him Colonel Clank back in the day.
The Mason brothers?
They're the Bricklayers Union, coming in through there. Anthony Mason, if you want to throw him in there on that one too. But I'm all serious. You remember the glowing puck?
Yeah. On TV?
My thought is that maybe they think there are fewer non-basketball fans watching the NCAA tournament than watching any other, and maybe they think like the sound kind of gives you that, something's happening here. You make sure you understood that the shot was attempted. Whereas, real basketball fans, can kind of pick that up. It's kind of like hockey fans. I mean, I don't know about you, Tim. I'm not a hockey fan. So if you took me to a hockey game, unless a fight broke out, I wouldn't know what the hell was going on. So, maybe
I definitely know what's going on.
But you remember I know you're a West Wing fan.
Yeah.
And remember when John Hoynes was complaining about hockey, and he wins a free case of Labatt Blue, and it's a goal. And
talking about broadcasters, they're surprised when a goal happens.
So maybe it's a signal to the non-basketball fan that hey, this is a shot attempt, and you should pay attention to this sort of thing.
I do think that's probably somewhere in play. I do think it's an attempt to grab the attention maybe of the background having it on fan, right? Like, oh man, like there's a lot of clanks going on or something like that, right? I don't know. I looked in as I started like, okay, well maybe it's because they're temporary rims because they're playing in these big venues, but then you're like, wait, the first few rounds are played at normal NBA venues, so that's not the issue, right? You know, we don't get to the big crazy NRG Stadium kind of places until the Final Four. So that's not it, right? Those are normal rims. Like everything should be exactly the same, but it's not. And I don't like it. Like I almost feel like they're like shaming these kids who miss. And even like the makes sound different. Like they're just, it just rattles more. I don't know. Like the NBA sound, it's almost like it's at the bottom of the net where you can hear the swish. And you just, I don't know. I don't like it.
All right, Tim. So obviously, the big news, at least around here, the Astros have set their opening roster. 26 man is set for tomorrow. Were there any surprises to you?
Yeah. I think you and I are both surprised. Zach Cole didn't make the roster. I think the configuration is a little bit of a surprise, but maybe a good one, considering they're only carrying 4 true outfielders, with Matthews, obviously the caveat that he can play center field as well. But to me, the bright spot there is maybe we're thinking of playing Jordan more in left. So that kind of counts as another outfielder out there that you could rely on a little bit more, and you don't need to have a Zach Cole sitting on the bench, not getting at bats. I think some of the younger arms in the bullpen maybe are surprising a little bit, but then you've got 3 guys who are going to be, mainstays in the bullpen, hopefully, between Pearson and Hader and De Los Santos, who are starting the season on the IL.
And Sousa.
And Sousa as well. So a lot of young guys getting a chance at the bullpen. But I don't think I was terribly surprised. I kind of feel bad for Salazar a little bit, but also he might get an opportunity to get on somebody's 40 man pretty quickly. It'd be hilarious if he goes to Detroit and becomes Frommer's everyday catcher again. But I mean, other than were you surprised by anything, Scott?
No, I think, the question between Matthews and Cole, I think is an interesting one because I think you and I are both of the same mind since we were both kind of nominating the same awards later on in the show. But, the question is, did Bryce Matthews win the job or does Zach Cole lose the job? Because Zach Cole struck out in about half of his plate appearances in the spring. And so I think that definitely played a part in him not making the team. Because especially if you're talking about a guy that's going to be playing once or twice a week, geez, that's kind of rough to have a guy who swings and misses that often.
No, I tend to agree with you. And I think also at the same time, do you only want Zach Cole playing once or twice a week? Like to me, like this guy has a chance to be a Gallo type player, can hit you 30, 40 bombs, might do it at a 200 batting average. Okay. Is that a guy you want playing once or twice a week? Or is that a guy you kind of want to find a way to get into the lineup because he's hitting 30 or 40 bombs? And the thing with Cole was he was supposed to be the, hey, if Myers isn't it, or if Smith isn't it, Cole can fill in and can do the job. That doesn't help if he's cold on the bench in the majors, right? Like I need that guy getting consistent at bats, and it just so happens AAA is the place where those at bats are available for him, and I need him to play every day, and I need him to play center, and I need him to play right, and I need him to find a way to cut down the strikeouts if he can. But at the end of the day, swing hard in case you fucking make contact.
And the other thing you're mentioning with the 4 outfielders, and I think this is I think the theme of this roster, I think, is flexibility because Loper Fido can play all 3 spots. And I think Matthews played some left in the spring in addition to center.
I mean, if you can play center, you can play left, right?
Right. But I'm saying he actually played some left. So, if you want to sit Jordan, you've got two different guys that could go in there and play.
Plus
And so,
Altuve.
well, yeah,
I kid.
Yeah. But I like the roster. I like the interchangeable nature of it. You joke about Altuve, but yeah, he can go out there. Obviously Matthews can play second or short. Probably could play third in a pinch, but you have about 40 third basemen on this team right now. So
I have all of them on my fantasy roster somehow.
So, I like the interchangeable nature of it. I worry about whether or not we're gonna hit enough. But that was always going to be a concern, no matter even if Cole was on the roster.
No, I don't think Cole was going to be the guy that solved our offensive woes if we have them. When you look at what happened last year, right? Every time someone got going, they got hurt. That was the offensive problem last year, right? Like Jake Myers having a career year. Boom, he's done in July for basically the rest of the year. Jeremy Pena having a career year. Boom, done in July, basically for the rest of the year. We just found out today Carlos Correa survived a fucking drowning in July.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was insane. I don't know what that effect had on him mentally, but I'm sure it was crazy just on an everyday basis. So I hope he's the best. But I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong for this team, and I wouldn't be shocked if Altuve was playing through some sort of injury himself, just based on how he fell off in the second half. This team's going to be good offensively if they're healthy. I truly feel that way. You had almost no Yordan Alvarez. You had, if Jake Myers could not necessarily be a 300 hitter, but do what he did last year at a 275 pace, I'm happy. I know who you are. You're a punch and Judy hitter, as they said in Major League, right? But that's fine. I don't need your Gold Glove quality center fielder. And if you hit 275, I'm fucking thrilled. If Cam Smith hits 260 with 20 bombs, I'm thrilled. If Paredes can just not be a fucking dickhead and swing at everything like he's a 12-year-old softball player, I'd be thrilled, right? Like, these are all doable things.
Yeah, play along with you, Tim. You may run like Mays, but you hit like shit.
That's a great one.
With your speed, you should be hitting it on the ground and legging them out. Every time you hit one in the air, you owe me 20 push-ups.
That's such a good. You may run like Mays, but you hit like shit. Oh my god, that one is such a quotable movie, and I'm sure I'll work. There's gonna be a lot of baseball quotes today as we're one day away from opening day. But I do think when you look at especially the Joe Spada years now, right? The last two and going into this year's roster now, so 3 opening day rosters. Versatility has been the main thing for these rosters, right? Like, he's got multiple guys who can play multiple positions every single year. He likes guys who can fill different spots. And that's even when we had John Singleton, we were so frustrated because we're like, this is the only guy on the roster who isn't versatile. And that may be a Dana Brown thing, it may be an Espada thing, but the last 3 years, especially when the Astros build their roster out, it is all along the lines of positional versatility and then organizational depth, right? Guys like Trammell, guys like Zach Short, guys like Alexander, guys like
your guy, Hummel.
Fuck you. Not my guy. He's not even in America anymore. That's how bad he was.
Hey, John Singleton's available. I don't think he's with anybody right now.
I don't care. I'm fine with the glut of infielders we have. I'm sure there's a Mexican League team that would love the services of John Singleton. And I think John's probably a great guy. Seems like a nice teammate, but it doesn't mean you deserve to be a Houston Astro. I'm a great guy, Scott. I'd be a great teammate. I am a loving father. Doesn't mean I deserve to be the first baseman for the fucking Astros, right? Like, that only carries you so far.
I got you, Tim. I'm going to get you later on this show. You might eat those words, or you might use those words to your own benefit. We'll have to see.
However, I am a little concerned about the bullpen. A lot of youth back there. No hater at the end. We've seen what Abreu can do in the ninth inning. Less concerned about the starters. I feel really good about our starting pitching, Scott. I liked what I saw out of Burrows the whole time through. Zero concern all about Hunter Brown. I like the fact that we sent Aaron Getty down to AAA. I didn't think he was ready to go. I think what we've seen from Lance is encouraging, and Amai looks really fucking good. So
He didn't give up a run all spring, Tim.
Nope.
And the last outing, he did have some issues because he went with like 25 pitches, I think, in the first inning, and so he ended up only pitching, what was it, 3 2/3 or 3 1/3?
I think so.
So he might be pitching some short games, depending.
That might happen, yeah.
But and I think you kind of made it, and I made this analogy to somebody else. Run back to, I think it was at 2003, 2004. Do you remember Shane Reynolds last spring in Houston?
I remember Shane Reynolds very well, but I don't remember his last spring. I'm sure it wasn't good.
Well, no, actually, because it reminded me of Javier, because he went in and he was throwing zeros. And then all of a sudden he was cut. And he ended up going to Atlanta and he had about a 5.5 ERA. Because, yeah, he was getting outs, but what were those outs looking like? And I think it's kind of the same thing with Javier. The last two outings, if you just looked at the box score, you'd be like, hey, the old Christian Javier's back, baby. Let's go. But I think if you actually watched the games, it probably didn't look quite that good.
Yeah, with him, it's interesting, Scott, because it didn't look that good. But also, part of what made him good was the deception of his rising fastball, right, from that delivery. So if that is back, and it is just a deception right now, okay, like, yeah, maybe it is just like guys are, hitting pitches that they think they should. But to me, it looks like guys are hitting balls hard right at people, and Javier's getting away with murder right now. We'll see, man. We'll see. That's the position, and oddly enough, in a rotation that has Lance McCullers in it right now, I'm more nervous for Christian Javier's first start than I am for Lance's.
Yeah, Lance's start, I think, in this last exhibition game was about what I expected. That was stereotypical, chef's kiss Lance. Throw a shit ton of pitches, don't quite get through 5 innings, but oddly enough, you're effective.
And I think if he gives us that 25 times this year, you're ecstatic, right?
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, right off into the sunset. Thanks for the memories, Lance. Take your 17 million and buy some Hanes underwear.
No, absolutely. Save some puppies and keep it moving.
Yeah. So, all right. Did you want to move on to the other team in town?
Yep. Let's talk a little Rockets, because this is becoming a problem, Scott. And this segment is titled "The Rockets Have an Effort Issue," because even though they tried to save it late against the Bulls, they got their fucking asses kicked because they didn't come out ready to play. And Udoka's called it out at the podium post game, but at the end of the day, fuck that. This is insane. This is a late season team that's fighting for playoff positioning, and instead we're playing like shit, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, what kills me is that we were banking road games. And so we were coming down the stretch. You were supposed, most of these games are at home. And to lose, sit there and beat LA in LA and then lose back to back, both at home. That's just, that's a kick right in the nuts, Tim. I didn't nominate him. I don't think you nominated him either, but I want to know what in the hell happened to Tari Eason.
I don't know, man. Like I think obviously he thought he was worth an extension and maybe kind of like an arbitration kind of scenario, right? Like the Rockets were kind of honest with him about how they felt about him, and I don't know because they refused to trade him away as part of packages to go get a point guard. But then you don't extend him to the number that he wants, and it's kind of this weird limbo. And maybe he's in his head playing for a contract. I don't know what's happened, but this is a guy who's one of 48 from three post All-Star break.
Yeah, the month of March has been brutal for him.
Yeah, it has been a maddening March for Tar Houston. And I mean, the minutes have come down some. Reed's getting some more minutes. I thought Amen's been playing a little bit better lately. Durant and Sengun had, good scoring games against Chicago. But, you look at the Rockets bench, right? And to me, that tells you so much of they just look defeated. This doesn't look like a team that's all in together. This doesn't look like a team that loves playing basketball together. This looks like a people like, did you ever watch The Office?
Yeah.
They're all Stanley, right? Like they go to work, they do their job, they do their crossword puzzle, and they go home, right? Like we don't have any fucking Michael Scotts. Like you got to have a few Michael Scotts in the office who, these are my best friends and all that other shit. Like you need that in the locker room. You've got to have that. And when everybody's just a fucking Stanley and just punching the clock and then going home, there's just no emotion. There's no anything. And, last week our Rockets segment was entitled "Fuck KD," and it's not the way KD's playing, right? Like KD's putting up points at least in these losses, but he is not a leader. You don't have Fred VanVleet on the court and haven't all year. He was one of those guys you brought in to change the culture. And you traded away Dylan Brooks, another guy that you brought in to change the culture. Both those guys were emotional, vocal leaders. And you replaced that with Kevin Durant, who is a whiny little bitch who just happens to be one of the most efficient scorers the NBA has ever seen. Right? Like both can be true. You can absolutely be a fucking piece of shit snake and also be really good at getting the ball in the hoop. Like, and that's what Durant is, right? Like you sign a deal with the devil when you fucking go and get this guy, and you can't build your young roster around him because he's fucking ruining it. He only worked in a defined structure in Golden State. When there were other superstars there and he was asked to do a specific thing, that's when it worked. It has not worked for KD anywhere but Golden State, and it's because he's a fucking cancer.
What I was hoping, Tim, is Ime Udoka would be strong enough, to get him to play the kind of basketball that he wanted to play. I mean, and the thing is, you look at the trade, it's an absolutely still brilliant, pure basketball move. I mean, you're trading a guy in Jalen Green who's maybe a sixth man. You're trading Dylan Brooks, who is probably a fourth or fifth scorer if he's, on a good team, in exchange for one of the 10 best basketball players in the history of the sport. From a basketball sense, it worked. And we were both for it at the time, but it looks like Udoka has not been successful in getting Durant into the fold. And also, this is where Rafael Stone should have looked at it and should have looked at, okay, what does KD do well? And what does he need around him? And I don't think that was in place. I think I like, having Alpi on the team. I think him and KD probably complement each other well. But if Amen is your third dude, I just don't think that's quite good enough.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not good enough. And, I'm going to drop another Major League reference in because I said I'm going to do a lot of those today, but do a Major League 2 because we're on our second sport. He's Jack Parkman, right? Like, it's crazy to say out, but Jack Parkman dropped fucking bombs. He had a shimmy that made the women in Cleveland puke. But when they were there, it made him swoon, right? When Jack Parkman was in Cleveland, the women, but when he's your guy, you love him. He's doing your thing for you. When he's wrecking your fucking team, you don't enjoy him. And Parkman was a stud. He could drop 30 bombs. He could do what he wanted to do, but he was still a fucking piece of shit. And KD is a snake, right? Like, he does things in a way that a 16-year-old fucking emo lead singer of a band would do, like fake burner accounts, like having a media company. Like, I just imagine like he's going home and writing like fucking emo songs and then handing them over to his media company to produce. Like, he literally acts like a 2008 Spencer's Gifts membership card holder.
Well, the problem is that the poison pill that comes from that is that, because you've seen what Harden has fetched in his last couple of deals. Teams looking to get Harden have to give up far less because there are fewer teams that want Harden. Like Cleveland was the only one that Cleveland gave up virtually, I don't want to say nothing, but not nearly, I would say pennies on the dollar for what Harden is worth. So, yeah, there's 2 more years on the Durant contract. It's a good contract, but who wants Kevin Durant at this point? After he's worn out his welcome in Brooklyn, after he's worn out his welcome in Phoenix, then he would worn out his welcome in Houston. Who's going to bite on that apple? So if your answer is we got to keep him, then you really have to go all in, and you've got to shape a roster around him. You've got to look pretty critically, and you've got to make some pretty massive moves. I don't know if Giannis is the complementary piece you want or not. I mean, maybe I don't even know if you could swing for a Donovan Mitchell, or somebody like that. But who are you looking at? I mean, does Boston have a guy that they want? They want to get rid of one of their 2 stars? I don't think so. So, who are we targeting?
No, I think it's going to be a tough market, and I think it's probably going to be a seller's market because most people know there's not a lot out there. If you could get Giannis and keep Sengun, I think that would be an interesting proposition with a combination of, either Jabari and some picks or, Amen, if they're interested in that, because I do think Amen and Durant are just not a good fit together. We've already seen the extreme version of what Amen Thompson can do, right, in Russell Westbrook. Like, a guy who can get to the rim at will, unbelievably explosive, good physical defender, can't shoot worth a shit. We've seen that. And those two eventually don't pair well together. So, Reed is a guy who I think can fit in if he could play a JJ Redick type of role. Again, he's done a decent job of playing the point. I think he's gotten better as the season went on. But I think his better position would be as, a 2-guard running across the court, coming off ball screens, catching and shooting. I think that would be a better fit for him if you get Fred back next year. For, you deem him not physically what you want, you go a different direction, because I believe they have the ability to get out of this contract after this year. So we'll see, Scott. But I do think they've put themselves in a tough position, because you're right. No one's going to pay you top dollar for Durant. The Rockets didn't pay top dollar for Durant.
No, that's true.
We were literally just talking about how good of a deal we got for him. And again, I think you trade Jalen Green again in a heartbeat. I think it's the Dylan Brooks of it all is the one that's hurting, because you took away your best defender and emotional leader, and you replaced him with Dorian Finney-Mixie, who's been fucking straight ass. And so you lost an emotional leader and a lockdown defender. I know. I'm not going to say more. I'm just saying you took an emotional leader and a lockdown defender off the team. And yeah, I think you and I were both over some of Dylan Brooks' antics of riling up other teams. But at the end of the day, the guy was emotional and he cared. And he held other players accountable. And then you bring in a guy who was supposed to be a lockdown defender who hasn't been. And he's not the same level of emotional leader that Dylan Brooks was. And now here we are. Durant doesn't hold people accountable. Durant's got other businesses to run when he gets out of practice, when he gets out of games, right? And it's ridiculous to think about there in the NBA season that you're showing up to your office for your fucking media company before you head over to the stadium. But that's the reality of the guy that we fucking, tied our flag to our mast of.
Well, and then it kind of you end up in the Harden situation where you're going hat in hand to him and saying, "Okay, KD, who do you want to play with? Who do you think it would be good to pair with you?" And we've seen how well organizations run when the players are the ones making the deals. I mean, we've seen LeBron make trades that didn't exactly work out well for his teams, particularly in LA. So I don't know. I just don't know what direction that's going.
I mean, if I'm Raphael Stone, I'm going to Kevin Durant with a plan of, hey, look, Kevin, I've looked at all these stretches in your career, and I've found that when you personally had the most success and your teams had the most success was when you were in this system here in Golden State. Now, can I give you Steph Curry? No, but we've got this guy named Reed Shepard. He could shoot the shit out of it. I've got this guy named Sengun. He can do, X, Y, and Z. He can be your Draymond Green type of player who can shoot the three, who can handle the ball, who can pass it. We need to find you a Klay Thompson. We need to find you that other shooter who can space the court. And then we need to get you, the Andre Iguodala type. That could be amen. However, Andre could shoot it, right? So if I can turn amen into, a good two guard who can shoot, then I go sign a good six man, figure out what we're going to do with Jabari, find a fucking goon to lay some lumber when he comes off the bench the way Zaza Pachulia used to. That's what you need to do. You need to go to him and say, huh?
That's Steven Adams.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming off a tough injury, though.
True.
So we'll see. Again, we have to see what these guys look like after these injuries. But I do think there's some value in going to him and saying, look, the best stretch of your career came when you played with these kind of players around you. I'd like to try and build a roster similar to that because it worked best for the team, right? Not, hey, who do you want to play with? More of a, based on the statistical analysis I've done, I think these are the types of skill sets that you're most likely to succeed with as a team based on your skill set.
Yeah, what you have, I think Sengun's better than Draymond Green. He's better than Draymond.
No, he's definitely better. He's definitely better.
Player. He's a better offensive player. I think you have, obviously I think Reed Shepard has Steph like skills, but not quite, obviously not to that level.
Sure.
They Fred VanVleet is a part of that conversation next year. You don't have that two guard is what you're missing. And you're not getting that. And I don't think Amen's ever going to be that. I don't think he's ever going to be Iguodala, really. He's better than both of those guys in some respects, but just not quite, the shooting is just a wild thing.
Shooting's a problem. It's a big problem.
I think the Bucks, if you offered them Jabari and Amen and a first, they would jump at that and give you the Greek Freak.
Question I think so too, but we just went through all this. Is that going to solve anything?
Yeah, that's the question. That is the ultimate question. I mean, it would have your Twin Towers. That part would be intriguing.
But can that win in today's NBA? Go look through however many last NBA champions. Go show me how many had legit twin tower options, right? Like it's not 1995 anymore where you're running a triangle offense and the fours at the line and your fives in the block, right? Like everybody wants a stretch four and everybody goes small. So having those guys hurts you defensively.
The closest you got was a couple of years ago when Minnesota made it to the Western Conference Finals with Karl Anthony Towns and who was that? Their other center, Gobert.
But then they realized they couldn't get any further than that, and they traded Towns to New York, right? Like so, even they realized like this was a defensive liability trying to run it this way. And now Towns is playing the 5 in New York next to Randall. And so, I mean, at the end of the day, most teams don't want to play 2 legitimate bigs. The Rockets even now play a lot of Jabari at the 4. You know, that's out of necessity because you lost Steven Adams, but you don't see them running Capella and Sengun next to each other very often.
No. All right, Tim. Is it time for some awards?
I'm ready, Scott. Let's go ahead and go with a POW right in the kisser. Who do you have for us here today?
Okay, I am punching myself. So I, unlike Tim, I'm in 4 fantasy leagues so far this year. That's by far the most for me in a while. Usually I run 2, and last year I added a 3rd team, and then but this one I showed up for the draft because this was the old Crawfish Boxes message board, and they decided, hey, let's start a team. 8-man league. So I mean, I'm going to have everybody's going to have a pretty stacked team. And to understand this, Tim, I think I know more baseball than my Astros fans league, the rest of them combined. And I haven't made it to the playoffs in that league in, I would say, 6 years. Because I am more effective than Joe Boo, Tim. I am more effective than any witch doctor that you can find. You asked me to draft a guy on, an Astros rival. That guy is going to go down. He may even get arrested for rape, like I did with Tyler Bauer, drafting him one year, Tim. So it's just rough. Like I've had Trout multiple years. It's just.
He broke a bowl.
1 second, Scott.
It's been rough, Tim.
Then clean it up.
And so it's.
Clean it up. I can't. I'm on the podcast. Go ahead, Scott.
So, yeah, I heard that, and I remember those days, Tim. But like I said, I've made it a policy not to draft Astros for that reason. I chose of my own free will, Tim, to draft Isaac Paredes and Yainer Diaz. I'm going to have to punch myself in the face. And so if Yainer comes out this year and hits $190, we know who to blame.
Yeah, I mean,
it's right here.
I would hope as a fellow Astros fan, you would have put your fandom first instead of your own selfish needs, right? Like the needs of all of Houston versus just the needs of Scott Barzilla. But hey, you do you, big cat.
And I would say 3 out of my 4 teams do not have Astros. So, but I have to take the L on that one.
I go the other way. I'm very Astro heavy. Now I will say I didn't draft my team. I forgot about it. But the moment I saw that Carlos Correa was available as a free agent, you bet your fucking ass I picked him up, even though I already had Paredes and even though I already had no second baseman healthy to play. I felt the need to add Carlos Correa.
I sent you an offer.
I accepted.
Oh, you accepted the offer? Okay.
You can enjoy it as long as we don't get vetoed for collusion.
Well,
I'm be okay.
So to put the fans in, I sent Tim an offer of Brendan Donovan for Sandy Alcantara. I am betting on the second year back from Tommy John being a bounce back for Alcantara. That's what I'm betting on.
I think that's a fair bet. That's why I approve that trade, and I just need a second baseman because I got nobody right now. A lot of injuries. And it also gave me Jackson Holiday was who had drafted for me, and he's already injured. And I don't want Jackson Holiday. I can tell you that right now.
Well, he was on my bench. See, Donovan was on my bench, so I'm not really losing anything. So, and the thing is that
now that I've accepted the trade, you do have a second baseman that's starting the list on the IL.
Yeah, that's true. But what I was going to say, though,
no backsies.
No, what I was going to say is that we might be running a kind of like a Cleveland Spiders type of operation, where we kind of wink co-owners, hey, you trade your trash and I'll pump you up maybe one of us can win the league. We can share the trophy. If one of us is in the bottom of the standings toward at the All-Star break, maybe one of us accidentally, the one on the bottom sends an All-Star the other way and says, hey, that was a good move.
I don't disagree. Hey, whoever's in the right spot, we need to figure out a way to take this thing home. As long as none of our league members listen to our podcast, I think we should be okay. Scott, I want to go around. Did you ever see the movie Clerks 2?
I did not.
So they get really annoyed about like people talking shit about them on like early internet like forums and stuff. And so they like find people. Actually, no, this is not Clerks 2, but Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. So Jay and Silent Bob like get annoyed that like people are talking shit about them on internet forums, and they like use all the money that they've made from like being in movies and have comic books written about them to like track down these people, fly to their house, ask them, "Are you the person who said this?" They say yes, and then they punch them right in the face and move on to the next one. Right? Like that is how the movie ends.
That's something.
I would like to do that for all these quote unquote Astros fans who just shit all over Lance McCullers on a regular basis and for nothing. I mean, like the guy has not made a start yet this season, and the moment the starting five for the pitching rotation was announced, all the comments are, "Oh, well, McCullers will be out by May. Oh, he's gonna pull a fingernail." It's just I want to go to each and every one of those people's houses, ask, "Are you King Slayer 22? Yes, okay, pow." And then like the next one's just like two houses down because it's all just it's like, "Are you Jackass 27? Did you say Lance McCullers to get a trip?" Okay, pow. I just like work my way through. But yeah, like that's like I understand the frustration of the guy got a contract and there's a lot of injuries in there. But this man laid his heart on the line for this franchise, and that's the reason he got hurt, is because he went, out of his schedule to pitch a must-win game. Then in the World Series, after realizing he was tipping his pitches and getting rocked early, he still guts out a full 5 or 6 innings, allowing the bullpen to be somewhat fresh and throw a combined no-hitter the next fucking day. So, say what you want about Lance McCullers, but the guy's bled fucking Houston. He is Houston orange through and through from the moment this man has touched a major league mound, and there's absolutely zero reason to be this negative towards him. Father Time is undefeated. At some point, it will be done for Lance McCullers. Do I hope it's not this year? Yeah. I'd love for him to have a great year. As an Astros fan, I want the guy in my 5th fucking rotation spot to be effective. Why would I root for a guy to get hurt so that way we can go to Jason Alexander instead? That's not exciting. That's not a better fix. That's just more of the same shit. So to me, if Lance McCullers is decent this year, that's a huge win for this team. And that's what I, as a fan, am rooting for. And people who don't, it makes me want to punch you right in the face.
I'm going to pull since you mentioned Jason Alexander, I'm going to pull a George Costanza. So, like, if I knew from the beginning that this sort of thing was frowned upon, I never would have done it.
If I had known. You thought I was serious about that? I was just kidding around.
But no, in all seriousness, might he get hurt?
Mickey.
Might he get hurt? Sure. But that's why you have guys like Spencer Arrighetti who, can come up and potentially be almost as good. So to me, root for him to be well, root for him to have a good last year in Houston. I don't think there's any real chance that he comes back after this year. So this is the last hurrah for Lance. So let's enjoy it.
Yeah. And again, a guy who has bled for your organization, who gives back to the Houston community, does a lot for the Houston area animal shelters through his foundation. Like, by all accounts, like Lance McCullers has been a model Houstonian. Zero reason for the hate.
All right, Tim. So it's time for the horse's ass.
That is correct, Scotty boy.
I am nominating a guy because I really shouldn't nominate Rafael Stone because I've really shit talked him, and I really shouldn't nominate Ime Udoka because I've already nominated him. And I really, we've already shit talked Tari Eason, so I got to point my finger at the one guy we haven't spent a lot of time on, and that is Dorian Finney-Mixon, or Finney-Smith, as Rockets fans would know him. And obviously Rafael Stone, you can't duck behind us. I mean, I picture Rafael Stone here as that, Homer Simpson's, gif where he's kind of backing into the bushes.
Yep.
And because, boy, a point guard would have looked good with that money. Jeez. Just somebody who's, not somebody great, just somebody. And to me, we've been begging for a backup point guard for going on 3 seasons now. I don't understand, Tim. I don't, because even when Fred VanVleet was in his first year, there was nobody who was capable of playing the point behind him.
No.
Last year, there was nobody capable of playing the point behind him. They certainly weren't going to trust Reed Shepherd to do it. They got Aaron Holiday on the roster for God knows what reason.
Yeah, I don't get that.
So, to me, and that's what I don't understand. When you have something that is clearly not working, like playing Tari Eason for an entire month where he's hit 1 3-pointer. I don't know. I mean, to me, I like Tari Eason. I don't want to see him jettisoned out of town, but I would like to see his minutes greatly reduced until he shows you that he's playing good basketball again. Because not only is he missing shots, but like he almost lost that, not the Heat game, when he was doing an inbounds play, threw it right to, the Miami Heat. They scored a go-ahead bucket, and you needed an Amen Thompson tip-in, at the last second to win that game. We were up by 5 points with a minute left. It's just, I don't. And so with Finney-Smith, what does he bring to this team?
It was supposed to be 38 to 39% three-point shooting and elite level defense. I don't know where that is. I get that he had an injury. I get he's working back from it. He's been awful, Scott. And I lightly touched on it in the Rocket segment. You and I both were fine with trading Dylan Brooks because we felt that this guy would be the 3-and-D guy that we were losing. Hey, take one out, put one in. And there's no 3, and there's a lowercase d in there. I'm not going to say no D, but it's lowercase. And he's been fucking bad. He has been bad.
All right, Tim, who you got?
I want to go down to Rob Manfred's house and just fucking rip into him, Scott. This award is supposed to be people we want to get out of town, right? I want Rob Manfred to go. We need a commissioner who loves the game of baseball. You and I've talked about this before. It should be a prerequisite of being the commissioner of a sport. Like, you need to love it. I want to hear about your childhood memories of going to games, with your dad, with your mom, with your grandpa, whoever it was, sitting up late, listening to the radio, driving down the road, listening to the radio. What was your favorite call? I want to hear all this shit before I ever consider letting you be in charge of the sport, because there is a tradition in Major League Baseball. As Major League Baseball's oldest team, the Cincinnati Reds, start opening day. They play the first game, right? That's been the tradition for a long time. Now we've started doing these foreign games, right? Where we go to Japan, we go to Mexico, whatever, Toronto, and play an early game there, and then everybody flies back and plays like 4 more spring training games. But still, like, Cincinnati was the first one. There's a game before them this year by like 20 minutes, and the Astros start at the exact same time. Now, am I happy the Astros are playing at 3:10? Yeah, I get to watch them earlier. I love it. I'm fine. But the tradition is Cincinnati goes first. And that's there for a reason. It's to honor them. It's to honor the game that honors everything. We fucking count everything that we do in this sport. We count every pitch. We count every swing. We count every hit, every homer, every strikeout. We keep track of everything. Why? Because we care about the fucking traditions. And you just spit all over them by scheduling a Wednesday night random game for no reason, because now there's going to be an off day in the middle of this fucking series, which is also dumb. You missed first pitch time, right? Like, that's also a huge pet peeve. First pitch is 7:10. Fucking be ready to go at 7:10. Don't tell me you had extra post-game pre-game festivities. You start the pre-game festivities early so you can hit your first pitch. That's fucking, running a game 101. So all of this adds up to just, again, Major League Baseball doesn't care. They don't fucking care. I don't care that the game's on Netflix. Is it stupid? Sure. Whatever. It was, probably available to more people on Netflix than it is on ESPN at this point. But I don't know, Scott. This one really ticked me off. The fact that there's an American game, being played, multiple American games actually being played before the Cincinnati Reds play.
Well, and I was gonna pick Major League Baseball as my scumbag. Well, and the one thing, the points I will give them is at least the first game was in the United States. Don't need to give an eyebrow, but that pregame was so ridiculous. The only thing I can think of with New York let's bring out 2 taxi cabs, because obviously
terrible.
because obviously New York is not known for anything else, and no other city in America has taxi cabs. So let's bring out 2. I mean,
they're all eating a slice of pizza. Everybody likes pizza.
The trolley car, I guess, was different. Okay, whatever. But yeah, I'm with
What's wrong
you.
with just coming out of the fucking dugout, Scott? Like, where did the days of just saying somebody's name, they run out of the dugout and wave, and they go stand on the line? What the fuck was wrong with that?
Well, no, and Janet was like, our public address announcer in Houston has a little more pizzazz than that one in San Francisco. And I was like, well, yeah, she doesn't have to have pizzazz, because they have like 3 hype guys with mics on the sidelines hyping everybody up. I mean,
and also, why the fuck is Bert Kreischer there? Please tell me the guy grew up in Florida and lives in California and Austin combined. Why? Why is he there? He's not like a big, huge. Everybody knows Bert's a huge Giants fan. Everybody knows. No. Like, why are we at this point that we need a little clout to get somebody to watch? So we'll bring out Bert Kreischer for Major League Baseball's opening day. Are you fucking kidding me? It's opening day. That's the clout. You don't need a celebrity to walk around in a shirt, number one, when he's famous for being shirtless. What's up with that? Number 2, Major League Baseball opening day. That is the thing. We don't need Bert Kreischer to make it better. It's already fucking great.
See, and this is what kills me. And Houston's doing this right. Do you know who's throwing out the first pitch tomorrow?
Yeah, Omar Lopez.
I mean, that's doing it right, Tim.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, and you don't need 4 hype guys. You just, hey, congratulations to the winning manager of the Venezuelan national team, Omar Lopez, throwing out tonight's first pitch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the Astros will have some pomp and circumstance for the fact that it's opening day. Every team does, right? Like, but I think Netflix is probably a big part of the reason why Bert Kreischer was there, because he does a lot of Netflix specials and has a Netflix show. So they're like, hey, we got this guy Bert we can throw on. What do you guys say? And they're like, yeah, just make sure he wears a shirt this time, because we don't really want him out there shirtless. Here's a Major League Baseball hoodie. Put that on him, but with a Giants hat, because it's in a Giants stadium, so he should look like a Giants fan. Like, I mean, it was just so forced. I don't like, we're purists, Scott. I think you and I would both agree we're baseball purists. The game speaks for itself. I don't need celebrities. I don't need hype men. I don't need all that. The faster you can get that first pitch out, the closer to 7:10 that it is, the happier that I'm going to be. because that means baseball is back. I don't need all the other stuff. I just want to watch the fucking game.
All right, Tim. Is it time for some positive vibes?
Yeah, let's tip a cap or two, Scott. Another one where I didn't even read your text and
That's
I guess stole your hat tip.
That's okay. That's okay, because I have a great one, Tim. So as everybody, I mean, if you're a regular listener of the show knows that I'm a member of Sabre, and we have meetings once a month. We were supposed to have Jimmy Price, who's in Astros Futures, runs that site, and he was not able to come. So at the last minute, we got the author of Baseball Imposters. So this guy, Rob Schenke, wrote Baseball Imposters. And there's like 40 different stories in there. So he only told us a couple of different ones. But my personal favorite was there was a chiropractor in New York who said that he was the starting third baseman for the New York Yankees World Series team from 1978. And so the guy's like, "You talking about Craig Nettles?" And he says, no, it's this, and I don't even remember the guy's name. It was like Wedge Fickus. No, it's Wedge Fickus. And he says, "I got to see this story," right? So he goes in there, he sets up an appointment with this guy, the chiropractor. And you see these pictures on the wall where he's taking pictures next to Joe Torre, and you see like Mel Stottlemyre, Reggie Jackson. You see him fielding a grounder. You see him, taking a cut. No baseball in the photo, but you see him taking a wild cut, and he's got a World Series ring. So obviously he's got to be telling the truth, right?
Wrong.
Come to find out, he had gone to a Yankees fantasy camp.
There it is.
And just decided, and this is what kills me, Tim, because even this is probably the days before we had, the internet, baseball encyclopedia that people could look up stuff. So, like, if you're sitting at a sports bar and you're trying to talk up somebody, to me, if you're in the city of New York and you're saying, "Hey, I was the starting third baseman on 1978 Yankees," I think people's like, "Yeah, you're Craig Nettles?" I mean, you probably should have said, like, "Man, I was like the bullpen catcher. They used me a couple of times throughout the year whenever the backup catcher got hurt." You got to pull something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, and when he got confronted with it, he's like, "A little white lie is not going to hurt anybody. Makes people feel better that they know their chiropractor, is an athlete and, did some things." But it's hilarious.
I'm already lying about being a doctor. I might as well lie about what I did beforehand.
Well, and so, and I had forgotten this. Did you ever read Shoeless Joe by W.P. Kinsella?
No.
So I'm sure you saw the movie The Field of Dreams, right?
Yes.
So there was a character in the book that was cut from the movie. And this syndrome is named after him because his name in the book was Eddie Skizzins. And his claim to fame in town was that he was the oldest living Cub. And come to find out that it was all in complete and utter bullshit. And they ended up discovering it, and it ended up being this huge scandal. So, like, there's a whole name for this syndrome, the Eddie Skizzins syndrome, for people that, want to pretend. And the guy explained it the best. He says, "Now think about this. You got guys like Jose Altuve, say like Casey Candel, Yogi Berra, who are like 5'5", 5'6", 5'7". It's not like they could say, I was a starting point guard for the New York Knicks. It's not like they could pull that off. It's not like they could go.
Let me ask you this question: If you are Hummel, okay, could you tell people you were the starting left fielder for the 2025 Astros?
I mean, you could, but to see that's the
it's like
thing.
What is the line, right? Like, is it a game? Did you have to start opening day? Did you have to start a majority of the starts? Like, I'd like to know, like, could Bryce Matthews say, "I was a starting second baseman for the Houston Astros in 2025 because he started like 4 games"?
Well, the funny story he did tell was that he worked at he was in charge of admissions, dean of admissions at Central Florida, and the maintenance guy came into his office and he's like, "Man, you're into baseball?" He says, I played in the major leagues. I played for the Reds. I played for the Astros, and played for the A's." And he's like sitting there, "No, this has got to be bullshit." But he has like a baseball encyclopedia right there. And so he looked him up, and sure enough, he had. He was the Astros backup. He was a backup catcher to Johnny Bench. He was a backup catcher in Houston. And so he said what was funny is that this guy would bring people into his office at all hours in the day. He could be in the middle of a meeting with a prospective student. It didn't matter. Here comes this maintenance guy with this guy, comes up straight to the book. So, see, there's where I am right there. I'm in the book. And so finally he had to like bookmark the page because, just to let him get there faster. Because it's like, but it was kind of a cool story.
Oh, that is fun. I think bullpen catcher is the way to go. I tried that personally when I was in college. I was on a high school paintball team with Jared Kozar. I don't know if I've told that story on here before or not. But after he got traded from the Phillies to the Astros, he's in Corpus, and their first series is in San Antonio. So we all go out to Cowboys afterwards. And my thing was like, hey, if anybody asks, I'm your bullpen catcher. Like, clearly I'm not in good enough shape to be like a prospect, but I could be the guy that warms prospects up, right? Like, that could be me. Didn't work. He got laid that night. I drove them back to his hotel. But hey, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Hey, it's all right. All right, Tim. You have a hat tip that I will co-sign, but I'm gonna let you go ahead and run with it.
Yeah, man. I get a tip. Bryce Matthews, first opening day for Dana Brown's kind of first big prospect, I think you would say, and I truly think he beat out Zach Cole. The fact that he can, play center field, can play left field, can play shortstop, can play second base. The versatility goes into it, but the guy had a good spring. He put it on himself to go learn how to play outfield to make himself tougher to say no to. Right at the end of the day, when you're a guy like Bryce Matthews trying to break onto a team like the Astros that has a glut of infielders and veteran infielders at that. And at that, guys that are at the top of their game at their position, right? Like, find me a more entrenched second baseman than Jose Altuve, right? Like, this is a Chris Burke, Craig Biggio situation. You're not going to overtake Craig Biggio. So what did Chris Burke do? He started playing center field. And what does Bryce Matthews do? He play some center field, play some left field, play shortstop. I think at the end of the day, it'd be tough not to tip your cap to this young man for what he did, for what he, did all off season to make sure that, spring training wasn't the time to ramp up. Spring training was the time to go seize a job. And I think Bryce did exactly that.
Yeah, I was gonna nominate him as well because I think that the key thing is I can't remember a guy, obviously Cam Smith last year, but a guy having this strong a spring since Luke Scott.
Oh, God, I loved Luke Scott, man.
And the thing was, Luke Scott, at least initially, was not very good. We traded him away in that Miguel Tejada deal, and he ended up going, other places and ended up playing some decent baseball.
Hey. I will not allow Luke Scott slander, okay? Luke Scott was like a 240, 250 who could drop 20 bombs.
Decent player, yeah. But I don't know what Bryce Matthews is going to be. Ultimately, we don't know. But we know he had a hell of a March and February, and he won that job. Yeah. Because he won that job by, showing power. He won that job by showing a shit ton of speed on the base pass. And he took to the outfield well. I mean, he not only played in the outfield, he played well. So I like it, and the thing is that if Jake Myers turns back into a pumpkin, then you're going to need an answer in center field. And it might be Bryce Matthews.
Very well could be. And I'm okay with that, right? Like, the guy's athletic. The guy, as you said, we've seen the pop. The Astros have said they're going to be more aggressive on the base pass this year. I can't wait. And that's a guy that you want to deploy maybe late in games when you look at, again, this is why I didn't think there's a place for Allen. Like, I don't understand him when you've got a Bryce Matthews scout. That's a whole we've talked about that at
Yeah.
end. But yeah, Bryce took it, and it wasn't given to him. He earned every bit of it, and I'm excited to see the Astros deploy him. I think there's some opportunity for late game pinch run scenario, right?
Oh, sure.
And go swipe a bag late in the game and do some things that we just haven't done before.
Oh, sure. All right, Tim. I think some people have offended us.
They normally do, Scott. It's a world full of scumbags, and we like to recognize the best of the best. This is your scumbag of the week.
I'm going to go with MLB Network commentator and former general manager Jim Bowden. And number one, it kind of kills me who these they get on MLB Network. They get like him. They get Steve Phillips. People who are
failed GMs,
shitty GMs. Like, where's Cam Bonifay? Can we get him employed here? I mean,
why is Jerry Hunziker not out there on TV? He guy was actually good at his fucking job.
You remember Cam Bonifay? Remember he signed Derek Bell with the Operation Shutdown? He is of that fame in Pittsburgh. But so, what does Jim Bowden do? So, would you like to guess, Tim, where he ranks the Astros pitching staff?
It was like 18th or something like that.
18th. This is a team that was 9th in the major leagues in runs allowed last year. Okay, you lose Framber Valdez. I'll grant you that. But you get Mike Burrows, you get Tatsuyama Imai, and you get, we're not even going to talk about guys like Ryan Weiss and Tang and people like that, because, who are those guys? Nobody, somebody who was a general manager in the game can't possibly be called upon to know, every little, pissant prospect, right? But you should know Mike Burrows. You should know Imai. And I would think those two guys would probably come close to equaling what Valdez brought. So you've got a healthier McCullers. You've got a healthier Christian Javier. Now, do I think this team's a top 5 pitching staff in baseball? No. That's going to be a bit strong. But can this team finish at least in the top half? I would think they would have to. I mean, I think right around the 10th spot is right around where I would peg them. And so I don't get this. I don't get when you have a team, and they do this with the Texans too in the NFL, where they sit there and go like, this team has finished 8 3 years in a row. They're 20th best. It's like, wait, what? How? And to me, it's the same thing. This team has been a top 10 pitching staff consistently for the last decade is somehow 18th. What in the fuck are you smoking? Can I get some of that?
I think there's some, what's it called? The fatigue of when you're there every single year, right? And they just want to see the Astros fall off. But this pitching lab is still fucking great, right? Like Tang talked about, getting here and being told, stop throwing this pitch. Yeah, this is the one. We circled it. Don't fucking do this anymore. He didn't say which pitch it was. Obviously, that's for him to keep close to his chest. But like, we have shown that we can find a pitcher that shows peripheral stats that are in line with our program, elevate their performance, and get the most out of them. We've done it going on 11 years now, right? Going back to like 2015 is when this really started. So there's no question to me that when we traded for Burrows, we saw something there and knew we could make him great, just like we did with Garrett Cole. There was no question to me that when we traded for Tang, we saw something there with his pitches that we liked, that we thought we could make great. There was no question to me when we got Weiss that we saw something there with spin rate, with velocity that we thought we could make work. So I'm with you, Scott. To think that we'll be 18th is crazy. Do I think we're the best pitching staff in baseball? No. I think we have a chance to be top 10. I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah. All right, Tim. Who you going with here?
Well, Scott, it's a kind of a tough week, I think, to pick a scumbag because I'm just so excited about baseball getting started. I did, however, see another leak, from a Rockets player that the team regrets or misses Jalen Green, right? And this is now the second or third Rockets leak that has come out. And I'm getting really tired of it, right? Like, put your fucking name on it or shut the fuck up. If you're really that frustrated with what's going on, step in front of a microphone and say something and call everybody out and get on it. But stop like leaking out bits to the press and be like, hey, but don't anonymous source, please. Hey, it's me, Deep Throat, in the corner of the Rockets parking garage. You don't know it's me, Jonathan Fagan, but yeah, I'm 6'10" and I play for the Rockets, so just keep it anonymous. You can call me Jabari. I mean, no, Deep Throat. I don't know who I'm talking about. Right? Like, to me, like, that's what I'm betting money is Jabari. Like, to me, I feel like Jabari Smith like wanted to be Kevin Durant's little best friend, and it's not working out. Now he's fucking pissy about it, and he's leaking. That's my theory. Either way, I'm not going to call him the scumbag, but I am going to say whoever is leaking, it's fucking annoying because it's just making it worse. You're not doing anything to help. You're making this team a laughing stock of the NBA, and it's really fucking frustrating, Scott.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you there, Tim. And really, yeah, come out, put your name on it.
If you got a problem, I'm okay with you coming out and saying, hi, this is, Fred VanVleet, and I've been watching the sidelines, and I want to say this team is missing XYZ, and Kevin Durant's a little bitch. Fred VanVleet saying that, right? Or whatever it is. Hi, I'm Tim Costello, and I think Kevin Durant is a fucking egotistical fuck. I believe that, and I put my name on it, and I'll fucking say it to his face, or I'll say it with my name on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is. But I, Tim Costello, think Kevin Durant's a little fucking bitch. Put my name on it.
All right, Tim. Are we ready for the special comment awards?
Yeah, I think we are, Scott. I think you've got some quotes lined up for me to judge. We had a pretty great winner last week from the director of, or what was he, the sub director of finance,
Economic Council or something like
Economic Council, who basically said that people don't matter in the economy. I think was the. Do you have the last quote so we can compare it to this week's quotes?
Yeah, I'll dial that one up last because he's the defending champion, so he deserves the last billing. All right, so the first one. So we had some really good quotes here from the Sunday talk shows, Tim. And so we had Scott Bessent going on Meet the Press with Christine Welker. And so she asked, do you think it's appropriate for the President of the United States to celebrate the death of an American citizen, someone who's a Bronze Star Purple Heart recipient who served in Vietnam? He said, neither one of us can understand what has been done to the president and to his family. She kept going. She said, no, is it appropriate for the president to celebrate the death of any American citizen? And he said, I think, given what has been done to President Trump and his family, it is impossible for either of us to understand what he's been through. We should all have a little empathy for what has been done to him and his family. So, to stump for this one just a little bit, number one, if I remember the Mueller report correctly, Tim, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Trump fucking did it. Yep. It was bound to have done it. So, yes, he got investigated. If he had been investigated and he was innocent, like if somebody had accused me of murder and I'm completely innocent, then I would say, yeah, I have a right to be pissed off. But do you have a right to be pissed off if you're actually guilty of what you're being accused of? That's number one. Number two, how many times are we told that we were not sufficiently upset that Charlie Kirk was assassinated?
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay because, the president can shit talk an actual American hero. And we were supposed to pay homage to a fake American hero. So that's number one, Tim.
Love it. Good one.
Okay, so then we had, gonna have to scroll down here. I'll dominate a second one from this article. This is all from Jeff Tiedrich's work. He's really love him at Substack. And so when Lindsey Graham was asked about whether or not we should put boots on the ground and whether or not that would be difficult, he said, "We did Iwo Jima, so we should be able to do this too." So there's your second nominee.
Say that one more time.
We did Iwo Jima, so we should be able to do this too easy. That's Lindsey Graham.
Okay.
And in our last one, and this one, let's see, where I got it. When we were talking about sending ice into our airports. CNN host Dana Bush asked, "Hey, with respect, if you're doing this in 24 hours, how well thought out could this possibly be?" And he said, "How much of a plan does it need to be in regard to guard an exit to make sure that no one comes through that exit? We're talking about security options. And these are officers well trained in security, and they're well trained in identification." So those are those three, right, Tim? Did you want to hear the last one?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was our winner from last week. So remember, this was in regards of, did you think about, the impact on American consumers when y'all bombed Iran? If the war were to be extended, it really wouldn't disrupt the U.S. economy very much at all. It would hurt consumers, and we'd have to think about that. But that's really the last of our concerns right now. And that was Kevin Hassett. So of those nominees, Tim, I think I have a favorite of mine, but
So the first quote's the best quote this week, because nothing was done to Trump's family at all. Like we've bent over backwards for these people over and over and over again, and they just constantly claim victimhood. However, none of those beat last week's quote. None of those beat the fact that the American people have nothing to do with the economy, said by someone who is supposed to be running the economy.
Well, I'll push back a little bit. I think Lindsey Graham's quote is pretty horrible because has he even been within 1,000 miles of a battlefield?
1,000? I'm sure he's been to Gettysburg.
Well, of a current battlefield.
Probably not, Scott.
I mean, I'm sorry, but in all due respect to a U.S. senator, pick up a fucking history book. They didn't just waltz on there. It's like, could you imagine, hey, we took the beaches at Normandy. That was fucking easy. We can do this. I mean,
even if you don't want to pick up the book, Scott, just log into HBO Max, watch The Pacific, and you can see that was a dug-in fucking battle. And that's why that statue of them raising the flag is so iconic, because it took so fucking much to win that quagmire of an island. But you know what? That's pretty. You might have convinced me.
So I do agree with you. All of them are bad quotes, Tim, because I love because to me the whole, the backdrop of quote number 3 is how well trained is ICE really?
So I can give you firsthand account of my parents who flew to London on Tuesday. They were in line for 6 hours. And at the 6-hour mark, they were going to miss their second flight, at which point my mom started crying and pretended to be having a diabetic breakdown and had to get through in order to get to some food on the other side because they've been in line so long. So she had to, I don't understand what the reasoning was, but basically she claimed that she had diabetes and she needed to get through because she couldn't stand up anymore or something. So they moved her through at 6 hours. She said that ICE is doing nothing but just like standing there. Like
Oh
they're
yeah.
not trained, they're not trained to do the machines. And if you look at Project 2025, they want to get rid of TSA. TSA is unionized, Scott. They don't want unions. They don't want workers to have the power to negotiate and do those things. They want to privatize just like they do everything else. They want to privatize it. They want airports to be able to pay people and make money and TSA pre-check and all this other bullshit that they can make money off of. And this is what they're doing. They're bringing in ICE now. They're setting it up. Like they're trying to get rid of TSA altogether and, pass it on to you and I on what is already flying is already a terrible experience for the money that we pay. And it's just going to get worse.
Yeah, we were thinking about traveling this summer, and it's like, maybe
I'll
drive.
drive.
Yeah,
Drive.
you got to tell your mom that having one of those, kind of helps.
It
My
got her through.
my
Scott,
family,
it worked.
my family has used that more than one occasion. Like there was one time at a family Christmas that it was taking forever to get dinner, and my dad was starting to get sick. But what they said was not, "Hey, Frank needs to eat." It was, "Scott's diabetic. He needs to eat." And I'm like, and then nobody told me I was in on this gag. So I'm like, I'm fine. But yeah, they use me. I've also used that to get in first in line at the Museum of Fine Art when I actually had crutches. So that was
You think you could do it at like Disney World, like to get to like the handicap in front of the line? Like, I can't remember whether someone pretended they had AIDS so they could get to the front of the. I think it was a South Park episode where they.
yeah. That was the Cartman where Cartman and Kyle had AIDS.
Yeah.
AIDS burgers in paradise. AIDS
Classic.
burgers. Now I said it twice. But no, actually, the cheat code there, Tim, believe it or not, is single rider. If you're a single rider, I mean,
Very true. They will. A lot of people want to ride together. That is very true.
So yeah, that's I chaperoned one of Ann's trips, and they were at Disney, and we didn't have to stay with the kids, and so I'm like, hey, I'm going solo today.
That's not even chaperoning. That's just going to Disney.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we were like, the only thing they had to do is like every 4 or 5 hours they had to call and do proof of life. So I was like, okay, I could do that. Yeah, I'm going to Disney. So I got on every ride, sometimes twice.
I'm chaperoning a Six Flags trip at the end of April. I will be taking full advantage of all the rides myself, Scott. So I'll be giving a full breakdown of Six Flags over Texas there in Arlington. But I think that's the end of our special comment. We have a repeat winner. I don't think that's going to take down
Kevin Bassett.
Yeah, I think that one's going to stay for one more week, Scott.
So you feel free, Tim, to find your own.
I will. I'll bring some next week, and we will see if we can find a new winner. But we appreciate everybody who found us this week. Astros opening day tomorrow, 3:10. Hunter Brown on the mound. I can't wait, Scott. I absolutely cannot wait.